Somewhere in the lands of Azeroth, in the plains that are quite barren, in fact so barren that Blizzard uniquely named the zone the Barrens, lies a mysterious oasis containing one of the most unique fish in the game. Today, I'm going to show you how we can catch these lucrative fish, giving you tips and tricks to make the most gold per hour while doing so. As this video will be part of my low-level gold making series, the requirements for catching this fish are extremely low. You will need to be at least level 5 to start this gold maker, but I'd recommend level 20 to fight off the mobs in the area. You need to have the fishing profession learned and leveled to at least 50, and have a fishing pole in your inventory. Don't forget to buy fishing bait while you're at the trainer, as it will greatly increase your fishing success rate at this spot. The fish we're seeking out today is the Deviant Fish. While the Deviant Fish will sell well on its own, it is sought after for its counterpart, the savory Deviate Delight. Deviate Delight is the most in-demand cosmetic item in Classic WoW, used for turning your character into a ninja or a pirate at random. The costume lasts about an hour, and is popular among endgame raiders and PvPers alike, willing to spend a good amount of gold on getting this. The savory Deviate Delight recipe is expensive, going for about 15 gold on my server, but if you can get one, it will greatly increase your gold per hour. If not, that's okay, you will still be making good money. To catch the Deviate Fish, we must travel to the Wailing Caverns in the Barrens. Wailing Caverns is a level 18 to 21 dungeon that many Horde players like to run through due to its proximity to one of their main zones. As the location of this fishing spot is overrun with Horde, you can risk dying if you're an Alliance player. That being said, I'll give you some tips to avoid the Horde. Also, keep in mind that since this spot is far away and dangerous for Alliance players, it is also more lucrative for Alliance players as the fish are harder to obtain. To get here as a Horde player, travel southwest from the Barrens until you reach the Wailing Caverns cave. On screen, your path is marked in red. For Alliance, you must first travel to Booty Bay in Stranglethorn Vale. I recommend swimming down the coast from Westfall on the west side of the land if you haven't been to Booty Bay before, as you can avoid the dangerous mobs within Stranglethorn Vale. From Booty Bay, take the boat off the dock towards a town called Ratchet, and use the map on screen to locate the caverns. Make sure to stop at the stagnant oasis along the way, which is the pond that is closest to Ratchet, as it usually has schools of deviate fish that you can catch. Once you're at the Wailing Caverns, walk around the oasis in search of schools of deviate fish. What you can do with your mouse is scroll it over the water until you see the pop-up for School of Deviate Fish. That way, if you're on low graphics, you can easily spot the fish within the water. Once you find a school, cast your rod so it lands within the school of fish. These pools typically yield 3 to 6 deviate fish before they deplete. Once you fish the entire pool, move around the oasis until you've made a complete circle. You do not need to fish in a pool of deviate fish to actually catch a deviate fish, but your odds of catching them are extremely higher if you fish from a pool. The rate that you catch a deviate fish when not fishing from a pool is about 30%. After you've fished up all the pools, head to the west side of the oasis near the giant hill that borders the oasis. I recommend fishing from this spot if you are an Alliance player, as it is very unlikely that Horde are going to be able to see you from behind, as the hill is blocking their view. This allows you to see Horde players before they come to kill you, so you actually have a higher chance of surviving should you encounter a Horde player. Before making this video, I tested an hour of fishing for deviate on my own, and I was able to catch 90 deviate fish on the dot. On my server, a deviate fish goes for about 9 silver and 50 copper, so I would have made 8 gold and 55 silver. But that being said, I have the savory Deviate Delight recipe, so I can increase my gold per hour from this spot. Deviate Delights go for 13 silver and 75 copper on my server. By cooking my fish, I was able to make 12 gold and 37 silver in an hour. For a low-level gold making strategy, this can be really good. I would highly recommend saving up enough money to afford the savory Deviate Delight recipe if you're actually serious about this moneymaker, as you'll make an additional 4 silver and 25 copper per deviate fish you catch. Now, as I've done a fair amount of fishing here in my day, I'm going to give you guys some tips on how to maximize your catches per hour while fishing here. First, be sure to bring fishing lures before you head to Wailing Caverns. You can pick up some lures in Ratchet if you forgot to pick them up beforehand, in the general store on the left side from the docks, from a goblin named Jazik. Having lures will increase the chance you succeed when catching some of these fish, so it's worth the money to buy a few. All basic lures last 10 minutes, so if you're going for an hour, make sure to bring at least 6 of them. Don't fight with the enemy faction at all costs. You want to avoid ganking or messing with players of the other faction while doing this goldmaker. Any time spent attacking the enemy players is time wasted in which you could have been catching deviates. Sometimes you may get frustrated that an enemy player is also fishing for the schools of fish as well, and you're probably going to want to kill them to kind of cut out the competition, but trust me, I found that it's not worth your time. The enemy will eventually come back and gank you while you're trying to catch your fish, and it spirals into a never-ending faction war. And sometimes other enemies will jump in the fight too and just camp your body. Just focus on getting your deviates and mitigating combat at all costs. Play very, very passively. Because, as we all know, time is money.
Time is money, friend.
You're going to want to bring protection. No, not that kind of protection. That's not going to help you here. Stock up on potions and supplies to mitigate combat. My personal favorites are the Swiftness Potion and just regular health potions. You can also use swim speed potions too, instead of the Swiftness Potions, as they are cheaper to buy, which you can use to swim across the pond if you get attacked. If you're an engineer, bringing iron bombs will be helpful if combat breaks out, because the gold spent on these items will quickly be made up by the amounts of deviates you catch due to the increased time you'll spend fishing. Don't pool swap. Well, pool swap if things get ugly. What I mean by this is switching between the ponds that you're fishing from on the map. All the ponds have an equal chance of giving a deviate fish as well as spawning a school of deviate fish, so it doesn't really matter what pond you fish from. That being said, only switch between the 2 green ponds on screen if you're continuously getting attacked. Usually, enemy players will not seek you out if you go to another pond unless they're holding a grudge against you. I wouldn't recommend switching ponds if you don't need to, as the travel time lost in between is too significant without a mount, and if you have a mount, you probably have access to better moneymakers than this. In my testing, it's better to not fish from a pool and stay in one location than it is to run to another pool and hunt for schools of deviate fish. Wait until the weekend to sell. Stock up on all your deviate fish that you catch during the week and sell them on the weekends. The player base is the largest on the weekends, and the demand for deviate fish increases greatly during this time. Unless you desperately need gold, I'd recommend waiting until the weekend before you sell your fish to the auction house. On average, I've made about an additional 1 silver and 50 copper to about 2 silver per fish from doing so. Bring an upgraded fishing rod. What I mean by this is to either bring a strong fishing pole, which can be bought off various vendors for about 10 silver, or to bring a big iron fishing rod, which can be purchased for around 6 to 7 gold on the auction house. These fishing skill bonuses that the rods provide will further increase your chance of fishing success by increasing your catch rate. If you're an alliance player, spend more than an hour fishing. It takes a lot of effort for us alliance players to travel out here, and you don't want to be traveling back and forth so often. When you head to Wayland Caverns, I'd recommend spending at least 2 hours fishing deviates. A good strategy for grinding out these 2 hours is to turn off your in-game music and only put on sounds. Grab a pair of earbuds or headphones and place them in one ear only. Turn on your TV or a YouTube video like this one, and click the bobber every time you hear a splashing sound. Keep in mind that this only works if you're doing this moneymaker solo, as other players' bobbers will also make a splashing sound if they catch a fish. I've been able to do marathons at this spot while watching a bunch of movies. Check the Booty Bay auction house if you're looking for a Deviate Delight recipe. Since the Booty Bay auction house is a cross-faction auction house, you'll often see Horde players selling the recipe on there to make more gold. While this makes Horde players more gold, it's actually cheaper for Alliance to buy it from the cross-faction auction house than it is to buy it from their own faction auction house. I've seen Deviate recipes sell for about 3 to 5 gold cheaper on the shared auction house, so be sure to check that out if you're interested in buying the recipe. Alright, there you have it, another low-level gold making guide completed. I hope these guides are helping you guys start to build your own gold stacks so you can afford your mounts when you hit level 40. I know I've been saving hard to be able to afford mine too, but I can't help but spend every penny that I come across. Have you guys heard of this gold making strategy before, and maybe you've even used it? Let me know in the comments below. Be sure to subscribe if you want to see more of my low-level gold making guides, and drop a like if you enjoyed this one. Anyway, with that said, I'll see you all in the fields of Azeroth.